Hello, hello. I'm here with another Q&A, except this time instead of the artist, I'm with the gallery owner, Susan Tinney at Tinney Contemporary at their 20th anniversary.
Thank you. Yes.
All right. Yeah.
Yay.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming here.
Okay.
This is fun.
Yeah. So, it'll go as a traditional Q&A, so let me just throw my first question at you then.
Okay.
So, I want to understand how much hand do you have in preparation of a typical exhibit with your artist? Like besides just curating, like how deeply involved do you get into like the whole presentation, moderation, just the whole process of a artist showing their show in your space?
Well, um, obviously, when I started the gallery 20 years ago, I didn't have the support that I do now. So I did a lot. I was a lot more involved in every aspect of it. And as we've matured as a gallery, we've I felt that I wanted to offer my time kind of take a back seat to the curation. And though I'm very, very involved in evaluating all the artists that we are going to be showing or representing, in hiring Joshua as our curator, I give him and Hunt, our assistant, a lot of leeway in making some of those kind of decisions. I'm very, very involved in kind of the philosophy of the gallery and when I started the gallery, what I wanted this to be as a gallery, as a place to allow art and artists to have a voice and to be able to present things that would be maybe more challenging that weren't presented in Nashville before. So I'm less involved with the day-to-day curation than I used to be. And I'm very happy about that. I think the gallery has matured. I think that having, fresh curators and younger voices and younger eyes really has elevated the gallery in the last several years. So I'm incredibly grateful for that.
Okay, like I understand what you're saying. Thank you for that insight. Okay, so let me move on to my next question then.
Okay.
Kind of off the sort of, you can see this as a part two to that question. I want to understand like the your transition from, and did a little bit of research. You used to host pop-up exhibits.
Right.
So how was like from hosting to owning?
Yeah.
Back in 2006, correct?
I started this gallery in 2006. And I kind of came into it um, with not so much of a plan. I I grew up around artists. I had a lot of artists in my family, and so I was comfortable around artists. All my friends were artists. I had a lot of family members who were artists. So that was my kind of my orientation and my comfort level. My background actually is in science.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like it goes together, but my love was always art. I was collecting from the time I was in college. So when I started doing these pop-up shows, I did it because I just had friends that wanted a place to show, and I loved art, so I just started doing that out of my home. And had an opportunity in 2006 to buy this space and actually have an actual, you know, permanent location for me to be able to do these things, so I didn't have to take all the art off my walls. And it was a leap of faith. There was that downtown area had very little going on. It was still very much in transition, um, but I was lucky to purchase this space 20 years ago. And though it was challenging, the first few years were really, really tough. We went through a market crash, and we've been through pandemics, and we've had a lot of kind of issues that normally disrupt um, the purchase and the purchase of art, but I still felt in my heart that I wanted um, to have that space to for people to be able to come and experience the power of art. And so it took a lot of my own personal money to keep it going for a while, but at some point we kind of made it over that hump, and we're now celebrating 20 years. So
Yeah,
it's certainly doing well on its own, and I'm grateful for that.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
So it's then immediately jumping into the reins. I want to part three to this question. So how because it's been 20 years, and in that time, you've discussed like some hurdles, some hardships, but I really want to know like a little bit more like how have you kept this momentum? How have you kept like developing? Because, like, as you mentioned, the market crash, COVID, I know that hit a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
So, you know, today you're part of the secondary Saturday Art Crawl, part of Dada. How have you kept up and flourished to this point?
Yeah. You know, I think continuing to obviously you've got to keep your eye on the business side of it, because without understanding kind of market dynamics, and that's how we're not a 501(c)(3), so we've got to work with people who appreciate art, whether it be corporate collectors or private collectors, and so just kind of understanding kind of where people are in that, within that the period of flux, whether it be COVID, and quite frankly, we were successful during COVID because people were staying home and they were renovating their houses. The people that unfortunately lost their jobs were not the people that were able to do that, but the people that were sent home and were able to kind of figure out how to navigate this weird place where we were they were able to kind of keep us going. It was a weird period because we closed our doors, though we closed our doors for almost 8 months. And But we just kept trying to be creative and think of ways to interact with the public, even though during some periods of that time we were not open. Just trying to continue to present works and ideas and artists that were fresh, and ideas and concepts that were challenging. And so I think just keeping in mind, always trying to connect with the public and trying to figure out a way to do that, whether it be through shows that were challenging because it was something that the society was experiencing at the time. And that's really the platform of why I started the gallery to begin with. So I think just keeping an eye um, on trends, on situations. It's fluctuated over the last 20 years,
Yeah.
because like you said, this I started the gallery, and a couple of years after the gallery started, the market crashed. So I was just literally taking my paycheck from my day job to fund the gallery for years and years and years. But I've always had great people that worked for me, and I've trusted them, and it took my other alternative career really to fund this for many, many years in order to keep it going. And so um, I don't lose sight of the fact that, I put a lot into it, but I also trusted the other people who were here kind of navigating the space while I was funding it to keep
Yeah.
it going.
Yeah, so it sounds like a story of both community, persistence, and like keeping your sensors, keeping that overall awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, let's move on to my fourth question, possibly my final, but what I've been thinking so far. What do you look for in a professional sense and like from your own personal experiences, like your in a relationship with collectors and with artists? You
Right.
know, what are like the elements or traits that really draws you in?
Well, from an artist perspective, I think that, when we work with artists, we tend to work with more mid-career artists, and um, we do work with some emerging artists, but not a lot. We really want to work with professional artists, artists that know how to have artwork here on time, that understand how to frame art, that understand how to, create an artist statement and how to create a body of work, and they've done this before. We don't want to babysit an artist in their early careers. And there's a place in their galleries for that, and we're grateful for those artists, because those are the artists that we will at some point want to work with ourselves. And sometimes we will show an emerging artist, and it's always exciting to see their growth. As far as who we work with, I think, from it being individual, just first time collectors. We love first time collectors. We love people that love art, and they're interested in learning about art, and they're interested in building a collection. And we're very sensitive to helping somebody do that. And when it comes to corporate collections, we're very, we run the gamut. We go from, individual collectors all the way to big corporations. And so it's wonderful when you have, whether it be a independent collector or a big corporation that knows what they want, but it's also great when they rely on you to and trust you. And I think we've been around long enough and have shown how, how we've been able to put together collections for big corporations and individual collectors. We've kind of gotten the reputation of, kind of the go-to gallery around here to do that. And so we do get a lot of phone calls from big corporations, and enjoy those relationships. Certainly artists that and collectors that are already significant collectors still come in here as well. We and adding to their collection and introducing them to artists that they may not have been aware of is always really fun for us.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Now I'm thinking about it too. I might. I'll discuss that with you later. But let me move on to my final question then.
Okay.
So, it's a question I typically throw at a lot of artists, but this also I think applies to gallery owners as well. Coming into your 20th anniversary, and I guess from here on, like simply put, what's next?
What's next? Hopefully, we just keep growing. We keep the art. The we you know we I feel a lot of responsibility to artists to help them grow their careers. And so I think continuing to work with artists in finding ways to find a new collector base for them. As far as the community, we want to continue to present work and artists that are challenging, and allow people to have, these questions that they, may not have asked about art. They have a different kind of experience here. I feel very responsible for the people that work here and enabling them to have a voice in curation, and wanting them to grow their careers and have opportunities to do things outside of here. So I feel like this is kind of a breeding ground for both the curation and the curators and the artists themselves, and the public to be able to experience this growth that we feel, and I feel very passionate about. I also feel very passionate about trying to create an arts district here.
I get it, yeah.
And it's been a bit of a transition over the years. We were the one of the inaugural galleries. There were only three down here that started the art crawl 20 years ago.
I remember that, yeah.
And all of the other two galleries are now gone, and some other galleries have come and gone in that during that time period too. We're fortunate that the arts art in the arcade, or the arcade arts program has kind of reinvigorated this downtown area. But I really would love to grow the arts district. I do feel passionate about, you know, thinking that we, knowing that we all work better together. I think we all, I feel very collaborative with other galleries. I don't feel this, this sense of, competitiveness. I feel like I don't think we should. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I think we should all, work very closely together, because growing the community, which is still small, I feel, I think it just helps when we bridge those, the find the connections.
Yeah, it's because at least applying it to like most businesses or business districts and competition, it breeds success in that case. But your art galleries, you have to, apply a different sort of outlook to this.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, all right. Thank you for your time here.
Thank you, Quentin. It's been fun.
Yeah. And that is today's Q&A.